Let's now speak to political analyst Mr. Thobani Zikalala. Thobani, it's good to have you with us. So welcome to SA Today. So it's been a year since this matter was actually taken to court, right? In this instance, by the EFF, there were also other various parties that had taken this matter to court, yet judgment still eludes everyone concerned. What is your take on the EFF now saying they will be staging a march every month to the Constitutional Court until judgment has been handed down?
I think, good afternoon, and I think and good afternoon to your viewers as well. I'm glad to be here. It's been some time. I think for me, the biggest issue here is that we are dealing, I think, with a judicial system, especially if the apex court in the country does not deliver justice and deliver on its duties to interpret the laws of this country as promptly as possible. And for me, it gives an impression that the judges or the judicial system has been, especially the apex court, has been what called as abdicated on its responsibilities or absconded on its responsibilities, and the EFF is correct to take them head on. Maybe it would be unusual for some people that the court or the judges get picketed against, but remember that the EFF is a political player, and it has the responsibility also to show to their constituents and to show to the people of South Africa that who have given them a responsibility to represent them in the legislature of this country, that they are taking matters that are important for this country very seriously. Mm-hmm. I mean, the reasoning given by the Chief Justice on why this judgment has been delayed by over a year, I think I may have to agree with the EFF that it doesn't hold water, that we have had to wait for a year for a judgment in a case where the Constitutional Court has been working, the Constitutional Court has been delivering judgments in the intervening period. But unfortunately, this one judgment has not been delivered. But this judgment also is very important because it will help this country to be able to finally put to bed a matter that has been troubling us for some time, that the president seemed to have done wrong and kept money that he was not supposed to keep, and Parliament was unable to use its powers to be able to hold him accountable. Why is it that this matter is not being put to bed? Because after almost 5 years, as the EFF has said, since this incident happened, and 3 years since it was reported, we still haven't heard the side of the president in terms of what has happened. And for me, that's the critical part, that Parliament, I believe, erred in not making sure that the president of the country is held into account and is able to deposit his side of the story in terms of the events that happened in his farm and the circumstances upon which the $580,000 was kept in his farm, and of course the events that led to such.
Thobani, but this is exactly the reason we find ourselves with the Madlanga as well as ad hoc inquiries. And we've heard countless witnesses there speak to deliberate flouting of some internal investigative processes. And we heard about prosecutors and even some judges alleged to be fingered in this cycle of corruption. Now, this is a matter of public interest, as you've just rightly pointed out. When will judgment be announced? And also, I was going to ask you about that issue of an excuse about backlog. We've seen other judgments that were actually brought to the apex court after that case had been submitted to the Constitutional Court.
I mean, I may get some flack for this, but I want to put it this way. It seems to me that the Constitutional Court is deliberately withholding this judgment. It's not a matter of not having the time, not having the competency, because they've delivered judgments in the intervening period. It seems they don't want to rule on this matter. And for me, it also speaks to some of the suspicions that we've had that the judges of this country have suddenly become the laws upon themselves, and they are running amok and doing their own thing. Of course, we will be accused of attacking the judiciary when we say this, but the judiciary themselves must clean their own image. The judiciary must be seen to be doing and taking seriously the duty that they have to interpret and adjudicate on disputes in this country. It is a simple duty that they have. It's not a complicated duty. They just simply have to adjudicate and interpret the law, adjudicate disputes and interpret the law. But they don't do that. And in instances when they do, they give us questionable judgments, which give us an impression that this judiciary does not seem to be acting in the interest of the people of this country.
Look, the EFF has also called for the arrest of Advocate Shamila Batoy to be arrested as she has sidelined this matter. You heard a response to the ad hoc committee when she was probed about the NPA's reluctance to act on the matter when there was prima facie evidence of some violation.
I think that for me, the interesting part, I mean, one, the NPA, I think, has failed us also in this issue. But the interesting part here is this. There are people who are in court for stealing money and dollars in the Phala Phala farm. But the person who owns the farm, the person whose property this robbery happened, is not being questioned on the circumstances that led to the money being there in the first place. For me, it's a puzzling fact. How does the NPA of this country prosecute people for stealing money and stealing foreign currency in the farm of Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, but Cyril Ramaphosa himself, as the owner of the farm, is not being questioned on how dollars ended up in his farm when South Africa does not use dollars as a currency?
And a very quick one, of course, Thobani, before I let you go there, the public protector has also said to be probing the president on whether or not he actually unilaterally overstepped his powers or privileges. What do you make of this probe? Do you think it's going to be fruitful?
Again, I'm going to be accused of being too political or taking the side of politicians. But the problem is that we judge you on the work that you have done. We judge you on your track record. If you prove to us that you can do what you do on the right, on the left, and you can prove to deliver on your duties and be as objective as possible, we will trust you with the responsibilities that we have. I don't think I have any trust in the idea that we'll get a favorable or a fair investigation from the public protector. It's proven. I mean, on the Phala Phala issue again, her judgment leaves a lot of question marks in terms of what a investigation, leaves a lot of question marks. So, of course, we support and we don't want to not seem to be attacking the office of the public protector. But on recent investigations, in particular when it relates to the executive, it has left a lot to be desired. I think Advocate Zikalala must do something to redeem herself and redeem the reputation of the office that she occupies, which is a very important office in trying to make sure that those who have given the power to administer the affairs of this country do not abuse their powers and then use those powers to enrich themselves. Thank you very much.
Thobani, great conversation. Thank you so much for engaging with us. That is Mr. Thobani Zikalala, political analyst on the EFF's march demanding judgment from the Constitutional Court on the Phala Phala matter.